at it from an X and O standpoint, you have to go through that regular daily. You know, quarterback.
Irsay, whatever drugs you're doing, caring's caring, brother.
Yep, let's go ahead and do this.
Ladies and gentlemen, back once again, episode 2 of 3rd and Hammered. I am your guy, Chief Keef, alongside my co-host, Grayson. Ali, say what up to the people.
What's going on, y'all?
So, similar to what we did in the first episode, break down a lot of things from the NFL, current news, break down our games of the week, sleeper games, hot takes, much more. Without further ado, let's get into it. Because we usually start here with me being a resident Giants fan, but my team's on a bye week. I'm now going to shift it over to Grayson and Ali, recapping what we had going down in D.C. Lead us off.
All right. So let me start off with, it was a good fought game. It was there was a chance. I believed for all of a minute. I did wake up in the third quarter and I actually watched how it played out. I thought that Heineke was going to get it done. There was momentum going in near the fourth, going into the fourth quarter. I don't know what happened. It just kind of stalled out.
Kind of slipped away.
And then, you know.
That pick was a game changer. Like, right when he threw that pick, the Vikings had the momentum, and you basically knew who was going to win that football game.
100%. Like, it definitely felt there. I think there was a third down conversion near the end of the third quarter that they failed on. I think, Grayson, you had texted me. You were like, why didn't they run the ball right there? Which I agreed with you. But after that, it just kind of felt like the offense fizzled out and they just couldn't really get it going to what they needed to be able to do. Then Harrison Smith with that fourth quarter interception definitely shifted things. And I mean, it's just too many weapons. That was a beautiful ball by Captain Kirk to Cook in the end zone. I mean, that was perfect. And Cook played it like a receiver. So it is what it is.
And let's talk about this, guys. How unique and special is it that TJ Hawkinson literally just got to Minnesota?
And had 9 catches.
I think he was almost 90, almost 100 yards.
And he was a difference maker for that game. Like without TJ Hawkinson, it might have been a different game.
Now,
100%.
Going into this game, quick side note, I want to ask, following after this game, I believe it was Grayson, I think you posted in the group chat today, former Washington quarterback RG3 says without a doubt they need to go ahead and put Carson Wentz back in the game when he's available. What do you guys think?
That he needs to stop doing drugs. he has a better chance of coming back himself. Like, what are we talking about? Come on, Bob.
It's kind of like how he's talking about he wants to be a part of the group, buying into the
ownership.
Commanders.
I think it was to me the biggest thing is the draft pick, because if he does come back, there's a heavy chance that he's going to get over that 70% mark that converts that draft pick from a third to a second, and that's capital that you need. This is a bad.
You're already paying, and you already got to pay so much for him on the cap anyway.
So you might as well run with Heineke or just see what Sam Howell can do, because he was touted as a first-round pick.
Yeah, my mindset is let's be honest. If this team squeaks into the playoffs as a 7th seed, they're gonna be one and done. Like they have they're incapable of winning a playoff game, in my opinion. So what's the point of giving up a 2nd-round pick if you don't have to?
Yeah, I
think there's a better chance of your Giants going further with that offense that you guys got.
I mean, I say it like this, like I would just keep them, like, you kind of, besides this Minnesota game, which I think maybe it's a one-off. Minnesota's really hot right now. They put the pieces together. I think you just ride it out behind the keys. No need really to rush Carson Wentz back. I think these guys, they got to fold with Heineke. And I think that's been my thing. Like, you already, like you said, keep him more out, because if he plays at 70%, that pick converts into a higher pick, and then you're already going to have that cap, situation on there. I just was always wondering, like, what made him really think like Carson Wentz was going to be the piece to really take it over the top? If you got something with Heineke, you might as well just see it. I mean, you're going to get pretty much the same value of play for a whole lot cheaper. Just kind of, yeah. And I mean, like, just ride it out with it at that point. Because I mean, honestly, do you see them bringing back Carson Wentz next year? I mean, I actually would.
From what he did one game, and then he shut the bed for 3 other games, and then luckily got hurt. Mm-hmm. I don't think you bring him back. It's not cut him loose. And if you're going to draft a quarterback, draft a quarterback. Hopefully you can be smart enough to go into next year with Heineke as your starter, or you pick somebody off the street that you could pay him a decent pay.
But my thing is, why are we even considering going into next year with Heineke? Like somebody broke this down, because I was listening to a lot of Commander post game on Monday. If you take out that lucky ass touchdown where the referee ran into the cornerback, that was 49 yards. So if you take that away off of pure luck, Tyler Heineke threw for 100 yards in an NFL football game. It's like, what are we doing here? I see no future in this team. I really don't. If you're selling me Heineke for 2023, I'm out. I mean,
you're out on Heineke.
Well, I'm only saying Heineke because I think he's still on the roster going into next year. And what options are going into free agency in terms of quarterbacks? That's something that I would definitely love to know. Because you're definitely going to draft a quarterback. That's going to happen. But do you want to start him
those
first weeks? Yeah, I'm sure it's not good.
I mean, a week ago, my mindset was, once you're mathematically eliminated, go like to Sam Howell. Let's see what you have. Like, see if you need to draft a quarterback with significant capital. But now my mindset is not against the Eagles, because don't put him out there against the best team in the league. But after the Eagles, we play the Texans. I mean, any given Sunday, but have him start his NFL career against the Texans, and we'll see what you have. Because, like I said before, if you're just gonna squeak in as the 7th seed and be one and done, what's the point of starting Tyler Heineke?
I agree.
I agree now.
It's quarterback is going to be a huge thing going into this offseason once again. And the draft capital that goes into that is going to be super important once again. Which leads to another really critical question that I got for you, Grayson. What do we do about Daron Payne? do you pay him? Because this man has been a wrecking ball from the inside. The interior D-line is done with exactly what they were supposed to do. They're all top 15 picks, and both of those guys inside, they're killing it. Do you pay him? Do you pay him even though you drafted Phidarian Mathis?
I think going into this season, I thought it was gonna be either you pay Montez Sweat or Dewan Payne. Whoever performed better, I was gonna pay that guy. And I mean, Payne, you would be stupid not to pay him his money, dude. I mean, not only is he a good defensive tackle, but I think he and Jonathan Allen have some chemistry. Like, I think them side by side also helps their production.
The Bama boys. Yeah, the Bama boys. I think that does too. Yep. I think so too. They're the most stable pieces that you have. I feel like, besides maybe Terry, like I think those are probably the two stable pieces that you got on this team.
I mean, if you're going to go the route of paying one or the other, why not pay Deron Payne and then see what kind of capital you can get in for Montez in the offseason, move Jamin Davis, your bust, as a pass rusher. Maybe you can get some value out of that athleticism as a pass rusher.
I think it would have came down to be like, if you're going to move one of them, trade them. Like, you probably should have traded them early to get some value from them. That way you could pick up somebody and I think
Montez, you still have him under contract next year. You could trade him then. But Deron, I don't think he was – I think he's going to be a free agent going into the offseason.
Because, you'll have to be – at that point, it's going to get sticky because, like you said, okay, if he's got 1 year, I guess next year you'll have to pay Deron. Then that year after, Montez is free. But then the year after, Chase Young becomes? You're going to have to figure out him too?
But then you also have to accept the fact of you drafted Phidarian and Mathis in the second round after having swapped the second round pick with the Colts in that Wentz deal. And the Colts took Alec Pierce. I think he's a 6'2", 6'3" receiver out of Cincinnati who I really liked coming out of the draft. I think he was a bigger target who runs some really nice routes that could have bolstered the Commanders' receiving room in the second round, which, you signed Deron Payne. All right, now I add another receiving weapon. And if Curtis Samuel doesn't play the way that he's been playing, all right, now I'm not worried. And you could have gone a different direction with that first round pick instead of taking Jahan Dotson, even though he's panned out pretty well so far, minus this injury. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I could agree. I don't know, man. I think you let him go. Like you said, I think you keep paying. Let Sweat. I let him go. I think Tyree Wilson coming out of Texas Tech. I think he's gonna be a nice little defensive end. You could probably replace him with. I seen him play this weekend when I was watching him in the them versus TCU game. I think he might be high on the board. Not really too many crazy guys except like maybe him and Will Anderson coming out. But I'd say you kind of lean at that route. Finishing up, Grayson, you had any last takes on it?
Scott Turner needs to go, in my opinion. I don't think he utilizes his players like he needs to. Like, if Gibson is this receiving back that you claim he is, why aren't you using him? Throw a flat route, throw a wheel route, do something. I think this offense is let Terry go deep, and I ate the routes that take a long time to develop. Like, I ate that, especially for all quarterbacks. I mean, I feel like our offense is running the ball and deep developing route. Where's the short game? Like, utilize Samuel. Like,
You got guys. You got guys with speed.
yeah.
Lots of speed.
I mean, you got what's it, Damani? You got Doxson. You got Curtis. Like, who's a speedster. Like, you got guys. I mean, at least like you can do them with the deep ball, but like use those guys to open it up for Terry a little more.
Exactly.
And then, I like Brian Robinson. Like, I like the ground and pound with Brian Robinson. I think he's built for that.
I think Brian Robinson makes a good 1-2 pump with Antonio Gibson. They're not to that point yet, but I think they can get to the point of Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott.
That could be an interesting combination.
And it could be a whole lot cheaper, too.
Yep.
A lot cheaper.
Because I'm willing to guarantee you Juan Rivera is not going to give Antonio Gibson $90 million.
I don't know.
Not with all those fumbles.
Nah. I think it's about time. You guys get a young mind in there, but we could go on and on. Kind of moving on. Besides, recapping the Washington game, did you guys have any sleeper games for this past weekend? Anything interest you?
For me, the big one, I really like the Seahawks-Cardinals game. Geno for MVP. That's who I'm voting for. Comeback player of the year,
He's
MVP.
earning it. He's
earning it. That last drive, they
kicked Cardinals' ass.
I mean, Kyler is just, he's focused on COD. We know that.
Get him out of here. He's part of phase.
And not only Gino, but Kenneth Walker is doing really well.
They struck really good in this draft. Like, they got five starters out of this draft.
Charles Cross, Kenneth Walker. I think they have two defenders. Yeah. I think one of their corners is turning out pretty solid.
They struck really good.
Can we talk about the Bears and the Dolphins game?
Yeah, man. My guy Justin Fields. Shout out Justin Fields. He's gonna be the first, the greatest Ohio State quarterback to ever live. You know what I'm saying? Well,
you mean the greatest Ohio State running back?
To be successful. Yeah, Nah, we're not doing that. Nah. Shout out my man Justin Fields, man. Who was it? Who was it that dropped that? They was trying to go ahead and get the go ahead first down, and my man dropped the ball clear. This is like the second week in a row. First it was Mooney.
It was probably Chase Claypool.
Nah, he wasn't active. It was some other bum. It doesn't matter, man. My guy Justin Fields. Justin Fields, keep doing what you do, my guy, man. I'm praying for you every week that you make it home safe. I know you don't got no line over there.
Did you guys see the clip of Mike McDaniel going?
Yeah, he said I asked him to stop.
I asked him to stop. I died.
He's like, what did he have? Like 90 plus yards with
Justin Fields? It was 170 on the ground. 170 on the ground. Yeah, I would definitely ask him to stop too. I mean, when he was asked about it during his presser, he was like, I just figured at this level, no one's asked him just to stop. Clearly, he doesn't listen to coaching, and which good for Justin. That's hilarious. Mike McDaniels is a character, and it's pretty great that the Dolphins have hit it on the head on that one.
But my thing is like, as great as it is, man, I'm still like discouraged because I really don't think Matt Eberflus knows what he's doing. I don't trust the GM over there to really set him up in a good spot. I mean, yeah, you get Claypool, but look what you gave up to like At the end of the day, yeah, you're trying to build an offense, but like you're trying to build a team. Like you gave up Roquan Smith. Roquan came into the game Monday night and had like 5-6 tackles. Off rip. I'm like, you give him up, but then you get capital for that, but you give it up to get Claypool. Like
it didn't make sense.
I don't understand. Like, I know my sleeper game. Shout out to the Jets, man. I'm low key about to be a Jets fan. I'm just rooting for New York, in general, except the Knicks and Brooklyn. So basically, no basketball teams. I'll hold down Kyrie for that. But that's a whole nother story. Shout out to the Jets, man. Robert Saleh, he came back with the receipts. Y'all said it was ass. He didn't forget that. So you got those printed out right there, fresh copy, ready for you guys on the front desk. And, defense did their thing. Sauce Gardner, he really looking like a defensive rookie of the year right now.
Defensive rookie of the year.
He going crazy. And crazy thing, man, I feel like they won in spite of Zach Wilson because me personally, I feel like Zach Wilson's ass. And that's the unfortunate thing because I feel like they really hit like with this draft, especially getting these guys out. But like if you can't get that quarterback spot right, I don't think it can work. And what's more alarming to me is not that like he played ass, but the fact that like he's so like arrogant about it. Like especially after in the press conference, like he talks like he's a veteran and just had a bad game. Like no, son. Like it's at the point where like they bring in James Robinson. He's playing good. They're bringing in guys pretty much to try to disguise you as a quarterback, just not to give it up and whatnot. And that's one thing I'm kind of worried about, like them going in the future. Like, are they going to have to do it in spite of him? Because at one point, especially last week, I was looking at it like, yo, they should probably put Joe Flacco in the game. Like, put Mike White, bring back Mike White, put him in the game just so they don't lose the game. And we saw like, because you look on paper, talent-wise, they got just as much talent, I feel like, now maybe it hasn't manifested as much as a Buffalo Bills guys are, but they got a pretty deep roster over there.
They got a really deep roster on offense and defense.
Exactly. They got some pieces over there, man. So I like what they're doing. On the Bills side, all right, let me get like 30 seconds right now because I'm about to debunk this whole situation. I've been saying this, like, if people don't understand, like, for the most part, you can get away with it. But, like, you're going to find out. You found out this past weekend, and then I feel like you find out more along as you go into the playoffs and those deep runs. The Bills rely way too much on Josh Allen to throw the ball. They have no run game. They rely on him so much to the point where they're throwing passes on the goal line. Like, it is too much for him. And, like, even before when we were just in pre-production, I had this kind of, like, we were talking about it, like what I classify guys in like the tier 1. And I feel like Josh Allen is definitely just right about there, but like he's still very susceptible to the mistakes and not to the point where they're like a lot as opposed to like, throwing 3 or 4 picks in a game. But he'll get you there occasionally. But I think he's more susceptible of throwing those picks like at the most costly of opportunities, which can cost your team. And I think like for whatever reason, they're really not developing the running game around him. And because you bring in like a Naheem Hines, and that's somebody to help you in the passing attack. That's not really there to help you through the stick, like, straight through the A gaps. Get through there and go to the hole. So, like, we can kind of see the deficit there into where they'll be built. And I think, like, moving forward, we're going to look at that. I think in the secondary, they're going to get a little susceptible, mainly only because of injuries, because I swear every time I turn the Bills game on, it's like they just reactivated Tre'Davious White, but then I seen Elam go out. So it seems like they're going to be having moving pieces, like, pretty constantly through the secondary. And I think, when it comes to that running game, like, between them, and I feel like especially Miami, they're really vying for like, to try to get home field advantage. More so Miami, because I don't think they can play in inclement weather. But like Bills definitely they're trying to get that that home game because I feel like at least on the Chiefs side they've already proved like they can go anywhere and get the job done. But like with the Bills, like I just don't know. But rather than to make it the story all about the Bills, man, I want to say shout out to the Jets. Looking like I think they're number 2 in that division right now. I want to say because I think it's still the Bills, Jets, and Miami, and then maybe the Pats after that. So yeah, my game was yeah. We don't care about Mac Jones. So yeah, shout out to the Jets, man. That was the game I had. What you got, Grayson?
Yeah, and I guess my game is besides the obvious, like, we know the draft teams, like the Texans, the Panthers, like, the Las Vegas Raiders are one of the worst teams in the league. Like, that thought we're gonna do something like, they were up in this game, like, at one point, were they up, like, 21-3? And they turn around and lose the football game. It's like, what are you doing? Like, and they just said this week on Twitter that Josh McDaniel's job is safe, and it's like, how can you say that?
They feel like they had They had like pretty much a contending roster ready to go, and they have regressed into like a lottery team.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I take Darren Waller as my tight end 1 and Devontae Adams as my wide receiver 2. Wide receiver 1 any day of the week, and Hunter Winfrey is probably one of the best slot receivers in the game. It's just baffling, Al.
Josh Jacobs.
It's just baffling how disappointing this team is, because everybody said going into this season the AFC West might be the best division in football, but the Raiders.
But you think about it though. Like you said, Darren Waller, you said Hunter Renfrow, you said Devontae Adams, Josh Jacobs at the running back spot. On the defense, you go get Chandler Jones, Mason Crosby, Max Crosby. You get that deal signed and deal. So they got pieces on both sides, and like you said, I'm just confused how it's safe because like we've already seen Josh McDaniels fail miserably at being a head coach. So it's like we have a precedent. I don't know what's going to. I mean, it's at the point now where they're like considering benching David Carr or Derek Carr. I'm like, I just don't.
It's craziness. The interim head coach last year did a better job.
Yes. Rich something. Yeah, it was Rich something, and they won like a good amount, like a stretch of games, and they got to the playoffs.
Well, like a lot of the media were pissed that they didn't give the job to him.
And they should be.
I mean, it's showing now.
It's definitely showing.
You know what I'm saying? But finishing up, man, those are our games of the week. Last thing we got on NFL, man, let's go ahead and get into some news. So, following the blunder from this weekend, the Colts, they go ahead and fire Frank Wright. I believe it was after, 3 seasons? 4 seasons?
Yeah,
this is year number 3.
Mm-hmm. Yep, so after number 3, key things, a couple winning seasons there, made the playoffs last year, started out really hot, folded towards the end, especially that last game, which was essentially a playoff elimination game versus the Jaguars, in which they pretty much got their ass kicked that whole game. Throughout his tenure, he's had a different amount of quarterbacks. It's been pretty much a revolving door since the early retirement of Andrew Luck. We've seen Phillip Rivers. We've seen Carson Wentz. Now, recently, we've seen Matt Ryan, and now going to Sam Ehlinger. Recent moments, they have Colts owner Jim Irsay elected to fire Frank Wright, in which earlier last week they fired the offensive coordinator to start. Now we get Frank Wright out of the door. GM Chris Ballard remains intact, and interim coach, they decide to hire ESPN's own Jeff Saturday, former Super Bowl champion center of the Indianapolis Colts, played for 13 seasons, I believe. No head coach experience except playing for
high school
ball. So yeah,
And
he's
I
going to be
think
the
he
interim
had
coach.
And I think he had a losing record in high school, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. And he's going to be the interim coach. And this week they enter Ren playing the Las Vegas Raiders. Keynotes, I believe Jonathan Taylor will be out for that game. And I just recently watched some of the press conference. What do you guys takes on it? Because I am just...
Apparently, Jim Irsay loves the fact that he hasn't had any NFL experience. Like, he loves the fact that he doesn't know what it takes and all of that. So, I hated this to begin with, but I'm like, before I knew anything, I'm like, okay, maybe it makes somewhat sense if you at least have a freaking bye week. But they don't have a bye week. They play on Sunday. So how are you expecting a guy to leave ESPN and come in and get ready to coach 53 people to go in a football game on Sunday? I mean,
nobody on the staff's call plays in NFL.
Jim Irsay, whatever drugs you're doing, sharing's caring, brother.
I just don't
clearly
understand
losing
it, man.
I don't. You couldn't go out and get the sheriff. You couldn't get the sheriff.
Well,
Why
not
would you
only
get Saturday? Get the sheriff. Go get the sheriff.
For me, it just like your meaning behind it just makes no sense to me, because it's like you say we do this for one. You say no experience. I'm not even gonna get into that dumbass comment. That you say, you know, he's been working with you as a consultant and stuff. I'm just confused because with the whatever accolades or resume that he presents with that, you get that and an actual coach on the team and like a Reggie Wayne. If you decide to like pick somebody as a head coach, I mean, Reggie Wayne's already the receivers coach. He played for many years for the Colts, Super Bowl champion, just with Jeff Saturday too. So it's like, I'm kind of confused why you even, you know, look that way. You know, they got Gus Bradley in there that's been a head coach. You got John Fox in there that has many head coaching years experience. Like, okay, you're not going to hire those guys for next year, but like at least have somebody to man the ship. And like people, I think we're just looking at it from an X and O standpoint. Like you have to go through the regular daily everyday stuff as a head coach, whether it be the meetings, talking to the press, all the pressers that you're going to have to do, just the format of the daily schedule and how it's going to go. And like this dude's coming straight off of like get up, it's going to sit here, and then now all of a sudden, you know, he's going to sit here and be the coach and be on the sideline trying to figure out the buttons on the headset.
It's been 5 years since he's played. I mean,
I have no problem going outside of the organization in the off season. Like, go get whoever you want in the off season, but during the season, bro, give it to someone on your staff. If you don't like Frank Wright, if he's the scapegoat, that's fine. If you don't want to accept that you just miscalculated Matt Ryan, he's washed. He's not the quarterback he once was. If you don't want to take ownership of your mistakes in the offseason and you want to blame everything on Mike, fine. Give it to somebody on your staff. Like, I've never heard of this, Keith, and I've been watching this sport ever since I've known what a football was like. I've never seen somebody go outside of the organization during the season when they don't have a bye week. Like, oh my God, bro.
Like, that's my thing. Like, also people try to just make up random stuff. Like, oh, he's gonna like inspire the offensive line. Like, is he about to go suit up and play center again? Like, I'm confused. Like, you become the head coach. Like, you have to deal with more than just the offensive line. Like, to address a problem. Like, it's more so about delegating and putting people in the right position to take care of those spots. Like, it's not like he's gonna be able to just sit there and focus. Like, and the dudes are just automatically gonna be able to block again. Like, we've seen like pretty much the best guard in the NFL, like for a good amount of time, just regress. And then the rest of the line all of a sudden cannot block anymore. Like, and then like you're saying, Grayson?
And Keith, I want to ask you this: like, why is it out there? Maybe it's a Colin Coward thing because I heard him say it, but like, why does everybody think Chris Ballard is some genius general manager? Like, what has he done to warrant that status?
Okay, I'm gonna break this down. So it comes to Chris Ballard, man. They have made some good picks, like like your Shaq Leonard's, and such. I agree, he's done those. But what I didn't like, and what just proved it more for me, is in the press conference, like, there was no sense of accountability. He says, like, yo, y'all were all on me about drafting receivers, and look how my offensive line now has kind of regressed. Like, first of all, you need to be accountable for that. Like, don't sit here and put that on offense because you receive. And then if we're being honest, like, did you really address that issue, even at receiver? Like, last time I checked, like, okay, Michael Pittman, Pascal, like, they're good players, but like, they're no world beaters. Like, it's not like you got guys out there on the edge that's really going to set it off. So it's like, Did you address that? No. And then, like, you never really and I get it. Like, Andrew Luck retiring early was crazy, but like, you never sat there and took time out to really address that. You sat here and got an old quarterback, and you really thought you could fix the problem, which Frank Wright really didn't do too bad with, if you really look into it. You know what I'm saying? But like, for the most part, I just don't see like never the accountability for anything. And like, now you're strapped because you put so much into the offensive line. You gave Quentin Nelson all that money knowing he has back issues, so that's going to strap you. You were kind of in the middle, so like, you don't really know where y'all going to go with the cat. And then like, the picks the stuff that you traded for, like, you've given up so much capital in there. It's kind of like, all right, so where are you guys really going to start at? Like, you know what I'm saying? Shaq Leonard, like, as many tackles as he got his paycheck, so I don't think he really cares. But, it's kind of like, where are you guys going to lead off next? Like, are you going to get another quarterback to, try to see what you can do with any of those top guys? You're really not going to. I mean, where do we think they're drafting, honestly? Between 10 and 15?
They'll probably be a little bit higher than that.
No higher than that?
Yeah, I think they'll probably be like 7 to 9.
7 to 9 range. So, I mean, if you look at it, 2, 3, maybe 4, 5 guys, tops, really coming out like that. So
they gotta change them. They gotta change the mindset. They've done it 3 straight years. Rivers, Carson Wentz, and then Matt Ryan. They were so good. I was saying they were just a quarterback away. All they need to do just accept that
he's too involved.
He's not gonna get to the Super Bowl next year. He just needs to accept that. Let Chris Ballard or whoever you select as your next GM get the next quarterback, and just let him take his bumps and bruises in 2023 and see where you're at in 2024.
I think, too, like, if we really look at it, like, I think to a degree, they're kind of like they're a lesser version of Green Bay. But if we're looking at Green Bay, I mean, Green Bay really doesn't have the championships to show for it either. I think they're kind of similar to Green Bay in the sense of, like, they've kind of been spoiled with like having great quarterback play for like the past 20 to 30 years ish. You know how Green Bay had Brett Favre, and then they had Aaron Rodgers, and then like you look at with the Colts, they had Peyton Manning, and then they had Andrew Luck for a time. So like they all just felt like, yeah, if we could just hit on that one quarterback, we'll be all right, and they can carry us through the hump. But now it's like, yo, you could, but like it takes more than that. Like your Josh Allen's, like they don't come into fruition until like you get your Stephon Diggs, those guys like that. So like you kind of gotta really build around that, and like the Peyton Mannings and stuff. Like there's not really too many times so you get two Hall of Fame receivers on the same team like that, both playing on both sides and stuff like it. That's rare
with the tight end, with the running back, with that
Hall of Fame running back, yeah,
with that defensive line.
I mean, they need to get to the mindset they're the least thing from a quarterback away. They need to hit the hard reset button because Keith, I looked it up. I saw it on Twitter and I'm like, there's no way in hell that's true. I looked it up. Sam Ellinger was sacked 9 times on Sunday. 9 times.
And I don't like, you're just writing him off as bad. How you gonna know? He on the ground all the time. Like, how you gonna? And then, like, you see their division. I think Tennessee. The only thing I really see with Tennessee is right now is they're trying to replace. And I'm not mad at what they did because it probably was going to cost them a whole lot. And I don't see Mike Vrabel doing that. I think he's more of a team guy. I think right now they're trying to solve that A.J. Brown issue. Hopefully, they're really hoping on Treylon Burks to really become that next guy, and they're trying to solve that. And then hopefully, we'll see Malik Willis go. It was a big night, big game. I mean, you're playing the Chiefs. You're trying to come back, trying to set the game off right there. I think that's just a big moment. He'll learn from that. And I think Tennessee in itself is still a really, like, I love Tennessee, honestly. Like, that's how I want my Giants to be modeled after. They're like a real low-key good team that you don't ever really pay attention to, but they're really good, though, if you were to look at them. So I think that division is still there right now. I think Jacksonville's kind of trending up, but I think, Peterson will probably have a ceiling. I think Houston's going to stink, like, just regardless. But it's time to hit the reset button on Indy, man. Go ahead and ship those pieces out, see what you can get. I mean, you let Nyheim Hines go. Like, Taylor's he's hitting the injury bug now more so often. Like, it's time to go ahead and hit the reset button on those folks, man.
You could still get a C-Mac type deal for Jonathan Taylor.
I think so, yeah. I mean, shit, if it's going to help the offensive line, by all means.
Exactly.
That's what I think, man. But, that's it all we have for the NFL takes, man. Well, no. We got our question we wanted to dive back into, actually. Last week, we talked about, how do you evaluate quarterback success? That was our topic for last week. We kind of want to dive back into the QB conversation. So let's go ahead. Let's bring it up here. We'll get into it. As far as when we look around the league, man, excluding like, your Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, I think, well, we know Patrick Mahomes is going to be the future of the league already. That Josh Allen, like, who do we really see continuing to be the future of the league? Who do we think are really franchise guys and who aren't?
Grayson, what you got?
A name that comes right to mind is I've been really impressed from year 1 to year 2. Like, I'm sold. If he has the right coaching, I think Justin Fields is going to be a good quarterback in this league. Like, he just needs the right people. He needs an offensive mind and not Matt Eberflus. So maybe it doesn't happen in Chicago. Maybe it happens on his second stop. But I'm not giving up on Justin Fields when you can get 170 plus with your legs. You imagine him with Andy Reid or someone from that coaching team. Like, I'm pretty sure they can figure out a way to make him the guy, but
you need weapons there.
So that would be my number one, Justin Fields. It will take out the obvious, like Mahomes and all that. So what else do you guys got?
I think the way that he played this week, he definitely kind of stepped up from that conversation that we had last week and won a game. And I'm talking about Justin Herbert. You know, San Diego pulled off last-minute victory against the Falcons. I think, you know, it's a talented guy. He has pieces around him. A lot of injuries right now that they're dealing with in the Chargers. But at the end of the day, that was a team that was expected to win, to be in the playoffs in that AFC West, where it was supposed to send all 4 teams to the playoffs. Do I see them still making the playoffs? I don't know. They have a challenge this upcoming week. They're the Sunday night game against the 49ers. They're in San Francisco. So I don't
tough
see.
one, man.
It's gonna be
I think 49ers,
one.
They get physical. They get physical.
They grind it out, and C-Mac's kind of getting more comfortable by the week. So.
Yeah, and I was about to say we can get into this more when we do our picks, but the 49ers are going to be dangerous. Like, every week, C-Mac's going to get more and more comfortable, and C-Mac is going to become Kyle Shanahan's favorite toy to play with.
For sure. Obviously the Ravens and Lamar, he's already kind of one of the faces of the league. Sticking in that same division, I mean, we already know what he's capable of. Joe ice in his veins. I mean, he just wins. That guy is cool. He gets it done. He throws it down the field to Chase when he needs him. And he got the Bengals to the Super Bowl last year, and he's going to get them there again in the next couple of years again. Maybe not this year. I think the Bills and the Chiefs are just too much right now.
What do you think is holding back the Bengals right now? Is it not having Chase for a significant amount of time, or what's preventing them from being like 2 or 3 losses?
I think like for one thing, it's like when I look at them, right? Because like you just brought up with Pat, I think Josh Allen is going to be there at some point once he really gets it together. But like for instance, like you look at a Pat, like you're winning because of Pat. Like Pat can get you out that game like that. I think Joe Burrow can be one of those guys, but right now it's too heavily dependent, right? So if you look at it, you know, you got Tyler Boyd, you got T. Higgins, you got Jamar Chase. You're easily looking at like 3 guys, you know, that can get 1,000 yards. You get a Joe Mixon behind you, and there's nothing wrong with building the pieces there. But like, it's weird that we're noticing like, and they just got Jamar Chase, and they were good before that, but like, the fact of like him being out changes them that much to the point where they look like a completely different team, damn near, depending on who they're playing. And like, you're still playing a backup quarterback at Cleveland when they lost that game. You know, mind you, they played Carolina this past week, so that's a scratch. But like, I think, you know, at some point the offensive line does hold you back. But like, I also kind of look at it like, well, that's not a problem when Jamar Chase is in the game. You know, you're getting it down there, and like, okay, so at what point do we look at it like, okay, yeah, it's offensive line too, but it's a part of you holding the ball. It's a part of like, do you have the check downs that you need? Are y'all focusing on the run game when Jamar Chase is not in there? Like, it's a plethora of things, and like the division that they play in, Lamar's gonna be right there with you. Like, so, like, you know, and he has his own deficiencies on that team to work through too. He's, you know, they're trying to get the defense back together, you know, trying to build that up for them. They got their own deficiencies, but for the most part, especially seeing how the rest of their schedule looks for Baltimore, they got an easy pathway to go ahead and get to the playoffs. Their schedule's fairly easy moving forward this after, you know, playing the Saints or whatnot. And then, like, you know, we still got to see Week 11, Deshaun coming back. So, like, you know, it's no, if you already in the AFC, there's no room for slouching over there. So, I mean, we got to see it from him.
Is it really that shocking, Ollie? I mean, given, like, you were gonna split the offensive duties between Matt Patricia and Jim. Was it really this surprising?
They got no formula, man. Their formula is just defense.
Yep. And he needs to go back to New England. Or they need to
I'm for Bailey Zappi.
Or they need to go get O'Brien back.
Nah, he's ass. He's terrible. We're gonna get into college ball, and you know, because he's the coordinator over at Bama. He's ass too. Don't bring him back. Trust me, you're not doing Mac any kind of favors.
Oh, I think we're gonna do it. I think we're doing a disservice if we don't say Jalen Hurts is one of the guys. I mean, he's
up and come, yeah, you're right. Progression, yeah, he's really progressed a whole lot, man. In the MVP candidacy right now, that's for sure. If I have to say a couple guys, who do we think though is like teetering the cusp of being a franchise guy? I know my name that comes up to mind. And I got my name, but I'll let y'all start.
Well, you start out.
Tua?
Who's your guy?
Come on, man.
I think Tua. I think I'm still kind of like
man. It's my quarterback, man.
You think that's your quarterback? I don't know, man. Like I'm
not doing this.
I'm rooting for him. You know, he's shown some brilliance this season.
Vanilla Vic in the building. I'm not doing this
like
with y'all,
Caramel
man.
Vic, bro.
You know what I'm saying? He's doing this thing, man. I'll stay on my guy, man. Do I know if he's a franchise guy automatically? No, not really. I think I do want to give him though a couple more years really to see like him kind of develop with Kafka and really get him some. And see that be my thing when it comes to talking about with quarterbacks and stuff, man. Because we give credit to I hate how it becomes so one sided in the argument. Like, okay, we propelled the Justin Herberts, we propelled the Josh Allen, those guys in the world and whatnot. And like, okay, they put pieces into play to help them, man. Like, we don't got no Keenan Allen over there. Like, okay, we're building on our line, but it took time to get there. I don't like how we just throw some guys to the wayside because they're already in a bad situation to begin with. You know what I'm saying? There was a time when Josh Allen was god awful to look at. You put the pieces right in play, and you know, now he's like top 3 quarterback in the league. Give my guy a chance, man. I want to see him build with Mike Kafka and what D-Ball's got for him. They're putting him in a position where he's not turning the ball over like that, you know, protecting it. He's getting more confident in the offense every day. And these guys are dropping on. I mean, we're pretty much playing with Amazon workers. So, like, you know, they're dropping passes left and right. You know, I want to see my guy get with some real receivers. Kenny Galladay's coming back, but, like, honestly, I mean, he a supervisor, like, so it's not really doing nothing for me. I want to see him get on. I think he's kind of teetering a little bit on the cusp. I'm sold as far as bringing him back next year, but, like, I don't know if he's the long-term answer, but I think he's got a shot to be. It's worth looking at because, I mean, I damn sure don't want to pick another quarterback in the draft to have to do this thing all over again.
No, definitely not.
I don't want to do that.
He's definitely shown some promise. I mean, 60 yards averaging
he got them
rushing
feet
per game. That's
100,
You're winning.
100 passing, 100 rushing. You know what I'm saying? He's showing you them feet.
What do you guys think of Lawrence? Do you guys still give him a chance, or where are you guys at on him?
I want to see year 2 with Doug, especially if you get Calvin Ridley going. I want to see him year 2.
I agree. That's a lot of
Year 2
weapons
with Doug and
around
Travis.
him the last 2 years. That's some more offensive pieces going into this offseason. I guarantee they will add to the offensive line. But if they're drafting anybody, if they're picking up anybody in free agency, it's going to be for that defense. I promise you now. It has to be. There's no. Who else are you going to add on that offense? There's no room. There's too many mouths to feed as it is. Outside of getting some more protection, but I agree with you. Year 2 with Doug Peterson. See what that looks like. We've seen some positive growth this year. You've seen him and Christian Kirk starting to build a connection. Ebron's made some plays. They have playmakers. They have players everywhere. ETN. There's Zay Jones. There's so many names that you could keep listing off. But overall, going into next year, I think that's when we can really say this is the face of the franchise. Which he's shown those flashes. He's definitely shown those flashes, but he's definitely a different quarterback compared to a Pat Mahomes, where we all saw the clip. That guy Trevor Lawrence couldn't get me motivated to take a shit. So,
I feel you on that, man. And I mean, I think it was a real learning curve for him, man. He got used to, playing with those guys over there in Clemson. Then, for a while, you play in the ACC, you pretty much playing marginal talent until you get to the playoffs, and then you got to play your Bamas, your Georgias, Ohio States, etc. So I mean, I think you get used to that. But I think year 2 will tell us. Year 2 will definitely tell us what we need to know about him. Lastly, I mean, we got any other guys really? Franchise guy. I mean, Geno Smith.
Geno. I don't think Geno's a franchise quarterback. I mean,
what?
Yeah.
Look, I think he is a solid system quarterback, game manager, put in a good situation, and he's winning. Is he the franchise? No. And I simply say that not necessarily because of the age part, but look at it. I mean, I don't think he's gonna play another 10 years. I don't think. Come on,
he can throw that joint, bro. I mean, everybody else playing till they 40.
They really are.
How long you think Kirk gonna play?
Captain Kirk got 5 more years, and he's gonna walk off in the sunset. He's gonna be happy.
Is he a franchise guy?
Yeah, for the next 5 years. Yeah, no, I'm going with them. I'm running with them. Why not? Because look at his stats the last couple of years. We all give grief on Kirk, but even when he was in DC, the man had
5,000 yards
every year somehow. I don't know where this man is throwing the ball, but he's getting it out there. He's got touchdowns. He's got great stats.
It's like
he's
Drew Brees without a ring.
And you can't always blame just him. Yeah, he's made some bonehead decisions at times, or he didn't pull the trigger. But you have a defense and a special teams that also shit the bed too. So
another Washington great.
Another Washington great doing great things outside of Washington, like they all do. What about Kyler? Where's Kyler on our list?
Not only the players. Yes.
Man, Kyler out there playing Madden 7-on-7. But it's it's not even just him, man. I don't believe in the coach. I don't believe in him either.
No.
I don't believe in anything that got going on. Nothing that they've done, especially in the front office is really giving me hope. I mean, the Marquise Brown trade told me everything that I needed to know about these dudes. They obviously don't know what they're doing over there. But luckily for them, Well, not luckily for them because I think for the 49ers still going to be solid. Seattle will be solid for a little bit, and I think Rams are really on the decline. I mean, shoot, Jalen Ramsey was throwing offense under the bus last press conference. So, I think, they got some issues over there. So we're going to see.
Now it's like they don't want to fuck these picks anymore. The Lambs are like, hey, I want my picks back. Like,
Yeah, they ain't pick until like 2052. Hey, out of here, bro. That team.
They're getting Tom Brady's son. All right.
But I guess, then too, I guess it's like one of those things, man. You mortgage all that to go all out and you won a Super Bowl. So, I guess it's worth it. I don't
paid its dividends.
I don't want to be asked for like years to come because I know that feels horrible.
It does.
I don't want to mortgage for a Super Bowl for that. I'm cool on that.
Is Jimmy G a franchise guy?
Well, you got to have an actual like deal to like be a franchise guy. Like you can't be on a 1-year deal talking about a franchise guy. Like you on a prove it 1-year deal. So like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Nah.
How you a franchise guy and they kicked his ass out, brought his ass back?
he was ready to go. No,
he can't. He ain't a franchise. Nah. He cool, but he got his own. Nah, I'm cool with that. I might as well just say Tannehill a franchise guy. If that's the case, like I'm not doing that. Like I'm cool on that.
Is Dak a guy?
I guess. He played for a franchise. So yeah, Dak is a franchise guy. If I'm being right, I like Dak, man. He the black Kirk Cousins, man. I like Dak, for real. For real.
I can really good comparison.
I could say that. Yeah,
they got the same stats and everything. They do the same thing. Like, people just like Dak more. Like, that's all it is. I'm like, you got to put the pieces in play for him. Like, you want, and that's cool. Nothing's wrong with that. Yeah, he on a franchise. He on a franchise deal. He getting paid like one. So, I guess he one guy.
I think Onk and Dak are like two of the quarterbacks, like they're franchise guys. They're franchise guys, yes, but they also need a lot of pieces around them to make it successful.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But like, as we teeter off here, man, we finish out the NFL takes, man. We couldn't miss this. We usually branch on the NFL, but we got to talk a little bit about past weekend, college game day weekend. A lot of big matchups going on,
crazy.
Man. A lot of big matchups, man. Let's we'll recap through some games really quickly, man. Let's start it out. Let's go down to Athens. Tennessee Volunteers, they come in at number 1, led by Hendon Hooker. They go over to see Stetson Bennett and the Georgia Bulldogs, Kirby Smart's own. Georgia pretty much ran things. They sacked Hendon Hooker, I think, 6 times? 6 times on the day. All over him on the day. Outstanding game made by Georgia.
I think, Tennessee is really shocking to me overall. I think they have a really good future ahead of them. Even with Hendon Hooker going to the NFL next year, you get in one of the top QBs in the nation, and Nico, I don't know what his last name is, but he's been balling out in California. And when I first saw some of his highlights, I was like, why is he going to Tennessee? Now I realize, all right, Tennessee's really building a program again. So there's some positive things out there. Bama losing to LSU. What's going on over there? What's your thoughts on that?
I'm just so happy that Brian Kelly went for the win instead of going to the second overtime. That took serious balls to do it, but I'm so glad he did it. I really am.
I agree. That's definitely the big difference maker. If that thing goes to overtime, Saban's coming out on top. that Alabama team is just too experienced to not. Going on, Notre Dame blows out Clemson in huge fashion. You know, I didn't really watch the game. I saw some of the highlights, but maybe Clemson's not that good anymore.
I mean, I just think Clemson, even going into this week, I didn't see them as. I disagree with the playoff committee. I didn't see them as one of the top 4 teams in the country. I really didn't. So I'm glad they got exposed for what they are.
Which leads us to, I think they're number 4 right now, TCU. They busted the Texas Tech game wide open. TCU's potentially going to be in the college football playoffs this year.
And they'll finally,
so good for them in that program.
And they're finally getting the respect that they deserve now. So good for them being in the top. Good for them being in the playoffs as of right now. They just have to keep winning.
Yeah. And then Ohio State surviving their game. They played Michigan? Is that the game that I'm thinking of?
No. Who did they play?
I can't really remember.
But they did what they needed to do.
They're number 2 right now. So Northwestern. Okay, yeah. So I mean, they're number 2 right now. So it looks like it's Georgia 1, Ohio State 2, TCU's at number 4, and then I don't know who's at 3 anymore. Can you pull that list up, Grayson?
Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU.
Michigan, that's who I was forgetting. That's another squad that's been killing it all year long. They've been playing lights out nonstop for the entire.
That's shaping out to be a fascinating game. The Michigan Ohio State game, like that's gonna be, get your popcorn ready for that game. I'm so looking forward to that game.
One of those big rivalries in college football, about to be even bigger stakes on the line. I think it's gonna be good. It'll be interesting. It'll be nice to not have to watch Bama in the college football playoffs this year. I think we're one year away from the college football expanding. Is that?
Well, they originally said 2024 is when it's going to be enacted, but I have a feeling that it's going to be sooner than that. I mean, they have to get more, to level the playing field and not have the same teams playing in it year after year. They just have to do it. I think they're going to find a way to do it for 2023, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens.
That's definitely college football has definitely changed from the game that I fell in love with a long, long time ago. These NIL deals make it's basically minor league football. But they get paid a lot of money to be able to play college football, which is pretty cool for those guys. So good for them being able to get paid to play the game that you love.
But I do think expanding the playoffs is going to do wonders for this game. Like, I think it's going to take it back to a much better state of play.
I sure hope so. That'll be really important, just for football overall, just because of how it's changed as a game and how it's viewed now. There's so many.
All right, I have to come back on. All right.
Perfect. So many people that there's so many NFL players that they're not even letting their sons play football, just because of like CTE and those kinds of things. So trying to find other ways to expand people's love and getting people to watch the game. it's going to be really important to see how that goes.
Yeah, well, Keith, we already hit on it briefly, but I know in our text earlier this week, I know you were iffing to get into this topic, so feel free to chime in. Like, are you happy that TC is finally getting the recognition they deserve?
Shout out to my man Sonny, QB Max Duggan. I definitely watched the game versus Texas Tech. It was getting real iffy in the fourth quarter, down 17-13. They started to build momentum and take over the game. Shout out to TCU, should be number 4 coming into to this upcoming week. It's going to be a crazy stretch, though, for them in the Big 12. Got some big games coming up there. They're going to have to run the table for sure. But for me, I have to say on this college game day weekend, there was 2 things. First off, shout out to TCU. On the second hand, I was more than happy to see Clemson get their ass kicked by Notre Dame. Shout out to Marcus Freeman. Marcus Freeman and the Fighting Irish. That man, Tommy Riemann, over there calling the game up real well. The DC defense did their thing, man. That freshman cornerback had 2 picks on him, on DJ. Well, 2 picks. I only think he had one on DJ and one on Caleb Kubnik. Had one he returned for a pick 6. They tried to switch out and, put in Caleb. That didn't work. He came in the game, threw a pick, get him back out there, put DJ back in the game, finish him off, dust him off. Shout out to them, man. Clemson, man. Time to send Debo ass home. They've been getting over for a long time. It's over for him. DJ, get him out of here. He's overrated. I think they got a big quarterback issue. And if we look at the history, if they don't got a generational quarterback coming through that door, it's over for those guys. Opens up the ACC. Unfortunately, my Hurricanes is ass, so it's not really going to make a difference. But Clemson, their time is over with. Took Notre Dame a little bit. I like where Marcus Freeman is going with this. Hopefully they can build on. They got a freshman quarterback in this year too as well. So hopefully they can build on that one. Notre Dame did the whole college football family a favor this weekend. Go ahead and get Clemson moved up out of there. And
I'm just so glad for the first time since I can probably remember. More than likely, we're gonna have a playoff without Alabama and Clemson. I'm so happy to see that day.
Now, side note though, Ohio State's like my second team. It's kind of unfortunate because looks like it might be another year of overration. I just made that up. Might be another year.
Overration.
Might be another year of that. It's weird because they come in every year. This is the most stacked offense we've seen. Like, they got the best offense in the country. And I think, for the most part, they do. Like, they can really kick it in that 7th gear if they need to. The only issue is it's really one-dimensional as we've seen these past couple of weeks. Now, well, this past week, they head over to Kansas State, a 1-17 coming into this game, and crazy weather conditions. I mean, winds was going crazy, but if we're looking at it, I see what Ryan Day was trying to do there, trying to really get the running game going. Trayvon Henderson, I think he was out, couldn't really get anything going with Mayan Williams. They're trying to build on that because, as we know, in a few weeks, you got to touch back down in the horseshoe. Take on, Michigan. And I think you're going to need that running game for them. And, if you got a chance to make it to the college playoff. So they're working on that. But it's not looking too good, man. They've been struggling fairly often. And right now, if I had to put money on it, man, I think Michigan might get real physical with those guys, man. They really roughed them up. And it's looking like they can only really play in good weather conditions as of right now. And are we about to say, Grayson?
Let me ask you this, Keith. Do you think the loser of that game doesn't make the playoff?
Oh, you're not getting in. Like, they're going to be in the same division on that side of the Big Ten. And, I think at this point, like, it's going to be set. Unfortunately, it's going to be set for 2 SEC teams to probably get in there. Now, I also look at that picture like, if you don't win that and, win the title, you at this point, if you ain't in the SEC, you're going to have to be a Power 5 champion at some point. But it's going to get tricky because I look at things also because, like, for instance, just to stay on Ohio State for a second, I think Michigan could really put a hurt down. Like, if they don't get this thing together, and luckily they're playing in the horseshoe come time to play Michigan. Because I think if they have to go to Michigan, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a serious problem. And if, the weather's not intact and they're still doing the same thing, it could be a long day for Ohio State. Now, they got some playmakers there, but it could be a long day. But to branch off, though, I really want to see because, like I said, I think you're going to have to be a Power 5 champion to even get your bid in for the playoffs. It's going to be interesting, though, because I feel like, and it may unfortunately come down to their first game of the year, and I'm talking about Oregon, in which when they played Georgia and they got the doors blown off them. Otherwise, ever since then, Dan Lanning's been having his team rolling. I mean, they're playing really good. I think they got a chance to win the Pac-12. So I think that could, really help them in that case. But I mean, TCU, I think, unfortunately, I just don't know because they got a hard time to really run the table and get in there. But if they can stay along the course, I think they should be set to really get in there. But we definitely, I think for the most part, we probably, even with Alabama not being, in contention really, I think somehow we're going to see the course maybe for two SEC teams, whether it be you look at a Georgia, a Tennessee. I wouldn't be surprised if somehow the committee tries to run in a two-loss LSU team.
Wow.
But I wouldn't be surprised at all. But, I think for the most part, you're going to have to run the table and be a Power 5 champion. But I think the Ohio State-Michigan game, that's going to be telling. We got a few couple weeks, up until there. Hopefully, Ohio State can at least, get it going together. So that could be a good game there. But, like I said, you got Oregon. You still got USC rolling. It could get kind of crazy. But like you said, I'm kind of glad that we won't see a Clemson, Alabama. They've really been dominating it for so long. Now, I think people are making a mistake of being like, this is the end of Alabama. I don't believe that by any means.
No.
By any means. I mean, it's
done every year.
Yeah, and it's not like they're getting blown out in losses. Like, I think they're losing close games. But what I do think can kind of get tricky, though, is we see now, especially with this win, I think really helping them. We're going to see LSU emerge back to what it used to be, really, with Brian Kelly up there, because I think he coached Saban in that game. And I think now we've seen a shift to where Alabama used to just really just dominate recruiting, but like we see it across the board. We see Kirby's taking some of those guys over to Georgia. The Bryce Youngs that's coming from California, the CJ Strouds that's coming from California. You still got Ryan Day over there in Ohio State. Lincoln Riley's pretty much going to lock up the West Coast. Sark might be able to steal a few guys. Cristobal can steal some guys over there on the line. And then, you're still going to get your one-offs, like your Deion's taking a Travis Hunter. LSU, they got NFL talent sent all throughout Louise. They could, and that's the thing about LSU that makes them just as dangerous. They got NFL talent right there, and they don't have to leave the state to recruit. So, you're still going to have those guys coming out of there. So, I think the playing field, and you see, schools like Texas A&M that's got all that oil money, they're being able to just buy, they're going to buy up some of their talent. So, the playing field, I feel like, is kind of going to start to level out. And I think me and Grayson, you talked about this. I know I brought this up with you at one point that I liked about Joel. I think people are making it, making a big thing. They're just saying, well, with the rankings and such, it's not a big deal. It's going to level itself out. But, in their eyes of a recruit, you kind of look at it in a sense of okay, I got Alabama on one hand. I'm automatically going to get the coverage, get the top facilities. I got TCU on the hand. I get some pretty good facilities, but like, what am I playing for? If I really want to play for a natty, I could go over here. We might lose a game at most, two, and we'll still have a chance to run the table. TCU, they're not really going with the big brand bias. You're pretty much going to have to do the impossible consistently for you even get the shot out on that. And I think, as we expand into the college playoffs, that's really going to help level. Because, like, if we're being honest, like, a lot of the calling card when it comes to getting recruits is like, okay, so how many times have you been to playoffs? Can you get into the playoffs? Like, that's going to be your calling card, especially for every coach. I mean, can you do that? And I think that's definitely going to help us. And, honestly, I think you're going to get a lot more of like what you saw this past weekend, because it's not like basketball. You're playing a series of 7. It just takes for one game for you to be off, and, you can have an upset and another team can get over on you. And I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Any given Sunday.
I really hope they make this a 2023 thing instead of a 2024. The expansion needs to happen as soon as possible, because I think it's gonna do wonders to the sport. I really do.
Yep,
I think it's gonna happen with Alabama not being in there. I think that's gonna force them because they want Alabama in there.
Yeah.
Now, see, I think it will, and then we still got to think about some of the offsetting factors, right? Because we know what is it next year or the year after, like Texas and Oklahoma, they're going to the SEC.
Yeah.
Does USC still make that jump to the Big Ten? It's going to be some moving pieces, but I think for the most part, to me, I'm more so glad that it helps. I think it helps kind of the conferences to really expand it. That way you don't feel like you need to go ahead and jump to another conference. That way you can be in contention there, because it's getting out of hand. Like USC, it just looks weird to me. Like at that point, you essentially become a professional team. USC jumping to the Big Ten, where like you're in California, but then the kids got to fly out to Maryland for a game. Like you're essentially, you're traveling, you're becoming an NFL team essentially in that case. So I think it's kind of going to help round out just when we expand these playoffs. Get all your Power 5 champions in there. You'll probably get some at-large bids. Some 2-loss teams. And, I think it'll help really round it out. But like we know in college, like it really comes down to recruiting and then what you do in the scheduling. Like, for instance, like, I know Joel'sburg, I don't know why Oregon would schedule or Georgia to play them like the first game of the season either. I don't know why you would do that. I'm hoping that's something that changes too, because I feel like, and I think that's one thing that's like hurting teams like Clemson, Alabama right now. When you look at, out of conference scheduling, it's not great. Like, and the fact, and that was my biggest issue when it comes to like versus a TCU. You look at the resume and it's like, where do we add up from there? So, I mean, in all, man, we need the college expansion, like you said. We need to go ahead and get that done. I don't really like the national championship still matters to me, but like until we get that expansion, it's like I don't really care.
Yeah,
I don't, because you got to basically run the table, like, and you got to run the table to even have a chance to like, get some shine from there. And that's the thing, man. I hate that because like as many times as we saw Georgia and Alabama play like 2-3 times. What, twice, like playoffs and then the champion? Yeah, I wouldn't like. I would like to see Ohio State and Michigan play again, like especially on a neutral field, because I think especially in that
championship.
Yeah, I would like to see that. Like, and then I think because knowing like their rivalry game, like where that game is played makes a big difference. Like, especially between those two teams, whether it's in the Horseshoe or it's out there in Ann Arbor, like that makes a big difference. And I would like to see that matchup on a neutral field and see what they can do from then on and get some of those other key matchups too. So, at least that's my take on it.
Yeah.
It would definitely be nice to see some other teams come come into the national championship discussion, and make it interesting like March Madness, where anything could happen and you might have a Cinderella story running all the way. And those are always our favorite, the underdog story where you didn't expect them to win. They weren't supposed to be there. We all love that story. So, before we wrap this episode up, let's make our picks for next week.
Yep, let's go ahead and do this.
So, Falcons at Panthers. I'm taking the Falcons.
Falcons.
Grayson? Falcons. Seahawks at Bucks. Tom got pretty excited on this win against the Rams, but Geno, baby.
And keep in mind, this game is in Germany.
Yep. That's the Munich game.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna go with the Seahawks then. Who are you guys taking?
I'm going Seahawks.
Same.
Vikings at Bills. This is probably gonna be the game.
Ooh, that's a good game.
That's gonna be a really good game.
I think Bills. I think Vikings keep it going, man. I think
the Vikings keep it going.
Josh got that little injury too.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
I'm going Bills.
All right.
Contrary.
All right. I'll be the lone wolf in that game.
Okay.
We got the toilet bowl next. The Lions at Bears.
I'm going Bears.
I'm going Bears.
All right.
Give me an interesting one.
Jaguar at Chiefs. That's easy.
All right.
I know what your pick is, Grayson. I should go ahead and take the Chiefs right there for you, bud. Browns at Dolphins.
Ooh.
We're 1 week away from Deshaun coming back.
I think I'm going to take the Browns. I'm going to take the Browns.
I'm taking Dolphins.
I'm taking the home team in this game. If it was in Cleveland, I agree with you, but I'm taking the home team.
Texans at Giants.
It's us versus everybody, so.
Yeah, we already knew that one. I got to go Giants. I don't see the Texans. Who's catching the ball? Who are the receivers?
I can say the same for us.
But I do need Pierce to get like 150 yards.
Okay.
Just saying. Grayson, what's your pick?
Oh, Giants, definitely.
I'm worried about the next week game.
Oh my God, another trash game. Saints at Steelers.
I take the Saints.
I take my eyeballs because I'm taking a nap.
Okay.
Saints for me as well. Grayson, who you got?
Well, they say TJ Watt might come back this week. So if he does, it makes it interesting. But since we're trying to see who has the best record in this,
I'm switching my pick.
I'm gonna say Saints.
I'm gonna go Steelers.
All right. And then Broncos at Titans.
Titans.
That was pretty easy.
Titans.
Yeah. That was... Oh my God, more trash games this week. Colts at Raiders.
What?
Ooh.
Oh.
Are we really wooing garbage? Jeff Saturday, before he was hired, while he was an ESPN analyst, said the Raiders are trash.
I'm gonna take the Jeff Saturday Colts.
Jeff Saturday Colts. Wow. I'm probably taking the Colts too. For shits and giggles.
I'm taking
Grayson?
I'm taking the Raiders.
Cowboys at Packers. Cowboys.
It pains me.
Taking the Packers.
I hate that I had to say it.
It pains
taking
me,
the Packers.
I'm taking the Cowboys.
I'm taking the Packers.
My affinity to beat you guys in things, I have to take the Cowboys in that one. Cardinals at Rams.
Ooh, this is another garbage game.
I don't want to watch that game.
I don't want to watch the shit either.
I'll take the Cardinals, I guess.
I'm going to take the home team, so I'm taking the Rams.
I'm also taking the Rams to break this little skid they're on. The Sunday night game, the other game of the week that I'm probably going to say, Chargers at 49ers.
I'm going 49ers.
Me too. What you got, Keith? I know you're going to come Chargers at 49ers.
Man, come on, man. I hope they kick the shit out the Chargers.
I was expecting you to go with the Chargers. All right, and then the Monday night game, Commanders at Eagles. This is easy.
I'm going to take the Commanders.
Shut the hell up. You're going to take the Commanders. Get the fuck out of here. The Commanders aren't even taking the Commanders. Are you kidding me? We have the Ravens.
I feel like I got to believe in them because I know Grayson don't believe in Heineken.
Heineken? That's because Grayson doesn't drink beers.
I gotta go with them.
With a Heineke? We got Grayson, the Ravens, Patriots, Jets, and Bengals on a bye week this week.
Do we got any big games? Any big games for college?
Oh, I haven't even looked at that yet. Let me
I don't think we do.
It's all debate. It's all debate last week, and last weekend was great.
Yeah, I don't think we got.
I'm not really seeing anything popping up for me right now. There's Tuesday night games right now? What is going on in college football?
Yeah, I think something got rescheduled.
I'm seeing Tuesday night. There's some game. There's 3 games. There's 3 games on a Wednesday night. What the flying fuck? Yeah, I'm not. Nothing's really catching my eye. Liberty at UConn. Ooh. Can we quickly talk about JMU being the best college football team in Virginia right now? They have 2 years till they're allowed to qualify for the playoffs, although they're going to appeal going into next year. What they did was genius. I mean,
we got something.
What you got?
So we got big games we got here. Let's go. Number 4 TCU at number 18 Texas. I'm going TCU.
You don't think Quinn Ewers is going to do it?
And get out of here. I'm going Max Duggan. I'm gonna take them. I'm gonna take Max Duggan and TCU on that one. I'm gonna take the Bo Nix led Oregon over 25 Washington. I'm gonna take them too. And guess what? I got a big one right here. I think I'm gonna take Lane Kiffin's old Miss Rebels. I'm going to take them over Bama.
Ooh, that would be a killer season for Bama. That would be 3 losses.
Especially losing to Lane Kiffin is worse than any other of those losses. As much shit as Lane Kiffin talks.
Oh, we got the Bussin' Bowl this weekend. Nebraska at Michigan. Shout out, no free shout outs to the Bussin' boys. We already know that Michigan's going to beat that ass. So,
yeah, Nebraska don't even got a coach. So,
Tech at Duke, trash game. Pitt at UVA.
Yeah, I'm cool off everything else.
So I think the only other game that I might want to watch is like JMU at ODU. Commonwealth Bowl? Is that the new Commonwealth Bowl?
JMU about to bust them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Bust the shit out of them. Like I was saying, they did it right. They could have gone to Division I, or they could have gone FBS 10 years ago. They waited. They made the smart move and kind of kept on building that team and that program up. Great job, JMU. That's all I got to say about that. I think that's all I got to say about football for this week. Y'all got anything else?
I'm good to go.
Good to
I'm
go.
good to go
It's another.
too.
It's another beautiful week.
Close us out, please.
Yep. With all that said, our NFL and college news. This has been episode 2 of the 3rd&Hammered podcast. Until next time.
Peace out, y'all.